The fire in the sky. The sky was calm. Two suns glowed gently over the colony of Valari 9. Children ran through the streets, laughing. Music played from the town square. It was Unity Day, a celebration of peace between the colonies. No one saw it coming. At 14:07 local time, a deep hum echoed through the air. The music stopped. People looked up. Something was moving in the sky, fast. Not birds, not clouds. Ships. A boy pointed. "What's that?" Within seconds, the hum grew louder. Shadows fell over the town. Then came the first flash, fire from above. A laser beam struck the tower near the square. It exploded in a ball of light. Screams filled the air. Panic spread. Mothers grabbed their children. People ran, shouting. The ships kept firing, burning buildings, melting roads, setting the colony on fire. From a bunker on the edge of the town, a voice crackled through the emergency speakers. "This is Commander Kelra. You are under cleansing protocol. You have been marked. This colony is no longer safe." 5 survivors made it to the underground shelter before the upper hatch collapsed behind them. Dust and smoke filled the tunnel. Their hearts raced. Their faces were dirty, their clothes torn. A woman coughed. Her name was Dr. Lena Morris, a biologist. She looked at the others. "Did anyone else make it?" A man with a burned shoulder shook his head. His name was Jonas. "We're the only ones. I saw the others. They didn't stand a chance." A younger girl, barely 18, sat crying in the corner. "Why would she do this?" she whispered. Dr. Lena closed her eyes. "Because we knew the truth, and now she wants to erase it." Jonas looked angry. "Commander Kelra was one of us. She built this colony. She gave those Unity Day speeches. She protected us." "No," Lena said quietly. "She used us." They sat in silence for a while, the walls shaking above them. The colony they once called home was turning into ashes. The air smelled like burning plastic and flesh. Another man, Rick, pulled out a small data pad. "The upper comms are gone, but I can still access the lower tunnels." "There's no way out," said Jonas. "Not without being seen." "There might be," Lena said slowly. "What if we don't leave?" The others looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" asked Rick. "She thinks we're dead," Lena said. "If we move now, she'll find us. But if we go underground deep enough, we can reach the old supply shafts." "Supply shafts lead out," Jonas said. "No," she replied. "They lead in. Into the fortress." Everyone went quiet. Kelra's fortress was a secure zone on the mountain, built with advanced tech. No one was allowed inside since she took command of it last year. She claimed it was for security, but now they knew better. "You want us to hide inside her base?" Rick asked, shocked. "Yes," Lena said. "It's the only place she won't expect us to be." Jonas stared at the ground. "She tried to burn us alive. What makes you think she won't finish the job if she finds us there?" "Because we're already dead to her," Lena said. "And that's our only advantage." The young girl finally spoke. "If we go there, what then?" Lena looked at each of them. Her face was tired, but her eyes burned with purpose. "Then, we find out why she did this, we find her secrets, and we stop her before she does it again." Above them, the sound of engines faded into the distance. The attack was over. The silence was worse than the noise. Jonas stood up and grabbed a flashlight. "Then let's not waste time." They moved deeper into the tunnel. The air grew colder. The walls were lined with pipes and wires. Old warning signs glowed faintly in the dark. As they walked, Lena noticed something glowing under the skin of her arm. A faint mark, shaped like a spiral. She said nothing. Not yet. Behind them, the last bit of daylight disappeared. Ahead, only darkness and danger waited. But they had no choice. The woman who once protected them had become their greatest threat. And now, they were heading straight into her home. The scarred survivors. The tunnels were silent. Only the sound of footsteps, heavy breathing, and distant echoes moved through the air. Dust hung like a fog in the narrow passages. The survivors walked without speaking. There was no need for words. Their eyes spoke louder, eyes filled with fear, grief, and questions that had no answers. Dr. Lena Morris led the group, flashlight in hand. Behind her walked Jonas, Rick, the young girl named Kaya, and a quiet man called Elric. He hadn't said much since the attack. His face was pale. Something was off about him, but no one asked. After an hour of walking, they stopped in a maintenance room. Pipes hissed. Old screens blinked in the dark. Jonas shut the door behind them. "We should rest," Lena said. "We need energy if we're going into the fortress." "No one's sleeping tonight," Jonas muttered, sitting down against them. Kaya sat next to him, hugging her knees. "I still see the fire," she whispered, "even when I close my eyes." Rick pulled a small med kit from his bag. "Let me check your burns," he said to Jonas. As he cleaned the wound, Jonas winced. Then he noticed something. The skin near the burn looked strange, like it was glowing. "Lena," he said. "Come look at this." She leaned closer. Her eyes narrowed. A small symbol, like a circle with lines through it, pulsed faintly under Jonas's skin. "It's like mine," Lena said quietly, pulling back her sleeve. She showed them her own arm, a mark. Faint, almost invisible unless seen in the right light. "What is it?" Kaya asked. "Not a normal burn," Lena said. "It's a mark, something programmed into the heat." "Programmed?" Jonas asked. "Like a tracker?" "Or something worse," Lena said. Silence returned. Then Elric finally spoke. His voice was cold. "She branded us. Like animals. That's what she sees us as now." Lena looked at him. "How do you know that?" Elric didn't answer. Jonas stepped forward. "Start talking, Elric. What aren't you telling us?" Elric slowly looked up. "I worked in the fortress before she closed it off. I was in the biotech division. I saw the first phase of her cleansing project." "What was it?" Rick asked. "A weapon," Elric said. "One that didn't kill, at least not right away. It marked people, changed them from the inside. Their minds, their thoughts." Lena stared at him. "You mean control?" "Yes," he replied. "She said humans were too emotional, too weak. She wanted to fix that." "And you helped her?" Jonas said angrily. "No," Elric said. "I escaped when I found out what she planned to do with it. But it was too late. She had already tested it. On volunteers." Kaya's voice trembled. "My brother volunteered. He said she promised him a better future." "I'm sorry," Elric said softly. "He never stood a chance." Everyone went quiet again. Then Lena stood. "We're wasting time. If those marks are inside us, they may be doing something already." "What if they can track us?" Rick asked. "They can," Elric said. "But not right away. The signal takes time to activate." "How much time?" Kaya asked. Elric looked at her with dead eyes. "Not enough." Suddenly the room shook. A deep rumble rolled through the walls. Pipes hissed louder. Jonas jumped to his feet. "What the hell was that?" Rick checked his tablet. Something just powered on, nearby. Lena rushed to the screen in the corner. The old camera feed blinked. A hallway appeared. Something moved through it, a drone. Small, black, insect-like. Its eye glowed red. "They're searching the tunnels," she said. "She's looking for bodies, maybe signals." Kaya's hands shook. "We have to go, now." "No," Lena said. "Running gets us caught. We go deeper. We hide where she won't follow." "You mean the fortress?" Rick asked. "Meow." "Thinks it's her safe zone," Lena said. "We make it ours." They packed quickly and left the room. The tunnels narrowed. Darkness thickened. The air felt heavier now, like it carried a secret. As they moved, Elric pulled Lena aside. "There's something else," he whispered. something I didn't tell the others. What? She asked. There's a room deep in the fortress, a sealed vault. She kept something there, something not from this world. Lena froze. Alien. No. Worse. Human. Changed. Suddenly a noise echoed from behind them. Metal clanged. Footsteps. Not theirs. Move, Lena whispered. They ran. Flashlights bouncing. Breath quickening. Behind them, something followed. Not a drone. Something bigger. Kaya turned to look and screamed. The others turned just in time to see a tall figure disappear into the shadows behind them. Not machine, not soldier. A man with glowing veins and no eyes. Jonas shouted. What was that? Elric's face turned white. She started using the marks on more than just minds. She was changing bodies too. The group ran faster, no longer, just afraid of Kelra. Now, they were afraid of what she created, and one of those creations was now hunting them, inside the very tunnels they thought would keep them safe. Inside her walls, the fortress stood like a silent mountain of steel, hidden in the rocks and clouds. Its walls were smooth, black and cold. No windows, no lights. Just a giant locked door and a name carved into the metal, Archon Station Level. Red security only. No one had entered it in over a year, until now. The survivors stood near a hidden vent behind the ridge. Rick had hacked the old maintenance panel. It sparked and hissed. Slowly, the metal door opened just wide enough for them to crawl through. Once we're inside, Lena whispered, we stay low. No sound. No light unless needed. Jonas nodded. And if she sees us? She won't, Lena replied. Not until we find what we came for. They entered one by one. The tunnel was narrow and covered in dust. The air smelled like rust and something strange, like old blood. Inside the fortress there were no alarms, no voices, just a hum, low and steady, like something breathing deep below the floor. Kaya whispered, why is it so quiet? Because this place isn't sleeping, Elric said. It's watching. They moved through the maintenance shafts, crawling and climbing. Pipes dripped, vents echoed with mechanical groans. Finally, they dropped down into a dark corridor. The walls were clean, perfect, untouched by time. Lights blinked, in a rhythm one by one. Red, white, red, white. Jonas looked around. This doesn't feel like a fortress. It feels like a cage. Lena checked a map on Rick's tablet. The lab wing is 2 levels down. That's where the records are stored. They followed her through empty hallways. Each door was sealed. Some had warnings. Do not open. Subject containment. Level 7. Memory restructure in progress. Human error. Kraulen system reset. Memory restructure? Kaya asked. What does that mean? Mind experiments, Elric said. She wasn't just changing bodies. She was rewriting who people were. As they moved deeper, the walls began to change. First, soft whispers echoed from the speakers. Then shadows flickered across the floor, like people moving in another room, but no doors were open. Is someone here? Rick asked. No, Lena said. She's playing with us. The fortress has AI support. She can see us, hear us, maybe even read us. Suddenly the hallway lights turned off. Darkness, then a voice came from everywhere. Calm, smooth, familiar. Welcome back, survivors. I see you made it through the fire. It was Kelra. How does it feel to walk inside the place you were never meant to reach, she said. Lena shouted. You tried to kill us. I tried to fix you, Kelra replied. But you refused to evolve. Her voice vanished. The lights came back, but something had changed. At the end of the hallway, a door had opened by itself. It led into a room full of screens, memories playing on loop, faces, voices, laughing, crying, all of them from the colony. Before the attack. Jonas stepped forward. On one screen he saw himself, laughing, holding a child. That was my nephew, he said. Another screen showed Kaya with her brother. Kaya's eyes filled with tears. She recorded us. All of us. Elric pointed at the center screen. It showed Kaelra, sitting in a chair, strapped down, a machine over her head. The video played. A scientist asked, "Are you ready, Commander?" Kaelra replied, "Do it. I want to feel nothing." The machine buzzed. Her body shook. Her eyes went blank. Lena gasped. She erased her emotions. She did this to herself, Rick said, horrified. She didn't want to feel guilt, fear, pain, Elric said. She wanted to become pure logic. Jonas looked at the machine. But it didn't remove her humanity. It twisted it. Suddenly the screens changed. Each face was now burning. Each laugh turned to screams. Then her voice returned. I showed you kindness. You answered with weakness. Now, you are inside my mind. Let's see how long you survive. The walls around them began to close in, literally. Metal plates moved. The door behind them sealed shut. Rick shouted, "We have to move!" Lena pointed to another door. There! They ran through just before it sealed. The new room was colder. Fog filled the air. Stasis pods lined the walls. Kaya walked close to one and screamed. Inside was her brother. Alive, but changed. His skin was pale. His eyes were black. He breathed but slowly. Wires ran through his body like roots. Oh God, Lena said. She didn't kill them. She stored them. Jonas checked another pod. There are dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They're soldiers, Elric whispered. She was building an army, not to fight aliens, but to fight us. Suddenly one of the pods hissed. It began to open. Lena grabbed Kaya and pulled her back. Move now, she yelled. They ran again, deeper into the fortress. Now every hallway felt like a trap. Every room, a test. Kaelra's voice followed them. I burned your bodies. Now I will burn your minds. But the survivors had a plan. They were not just there to escape. They were there to end her, even if it meant going into the very heart of the machine she had become. The marked experiment. The fortress was alive, not like a person, but like something, older, colder, and far more dangerous. Its walls didn't breathe, but they watched. The floors didn't move, but they remembered. The survivors moved in silence. Each step felt heavier than the last. Lena stopped at a door labeled Sector 5, Neural Experimentation Lab. This is it, she said, voice low. Where it all began. Jonas pushed the door open. Inside, the room was white, too white, so clean it felt wrong. Machines stood tall like metal skeletons. Screens glowed quietly. The air smelled of chemicals and something else. Something rotten. Kaya stayed near the wall. Her hands were shaking again. Elric walked over to one of the consoles and typed quickly. Security logs, audio recordings, patient files, he muttered. Lena joined him. Can you find out what she did to them? Elric nodded. I think so. Jonas walked to a glass chamber at the back of the lab. Inside, there was a chair, strapped with wires, tubes, and a head brace. The leather was stained dark. He stared at it for a long time. I think someone died in this, he said quietly. No, Lena said behind him. They wished they did. On the other side of the room, Rick checked his arm. The mark was brighter now, not glowing with light, but with something that moved. Like liquid under the skin. He scratched it. It burned. Then he heard a voice. Not loud, not outside, inside. She marked you for rebirth. Rick turned fast. No one had spoken. No one else had heard. He stepped back, breathing hard. Lena noticed. You okay? He nodded quickly. Yeah, just tired. But he was lying. Something was happening to him. Something inside. Meanwhile, Elric had unlocked a file. Experiment 42. Behavioral override, marked Subject Alpha. The screen showed a And in the lab chair, he was screaming, crying, begging. Then a machine turned on. A red light shined on the mark on his neck. The man went silent. Then he smiled. But it wasn't joy. It was emptiness. The screen cut to black. Kaya covered her mouth. She turned them into puppets. No, Lena said. Slaves with no mind, no memory, only commands. Jonas stepped back. And now we're Mark II. Rick clenched his jaw. His heartbeat was fast, too fast, and something in his ears was buzzing. Later that night, they found a supply room to rest. No one slept. Rick sat in the corner, sweat pouring down his face. His thoughts were heavy, confused. His own name felt distant. Then he heard her voice again. You don't belong with them. You were chosen. You are better now. He stood slowly, walked toward the exit. Kaya saw him. Rick, where are you going? He didn't answer. She reached for him, but he pushed her back hard. Jonas jumped up. Hey! Rick turned, and for a moment they saw his eyes glow, red, just like the drones. Lena shouted, It's the Mark. He's changing. Jonas ran toward him, but Rick moved faster than he should have, unnaturally fast. Elric pulled out a shock rod from his belt and hit Rick in the back. Sparks flew. Rick collapsed. He shook on the floor, eyes wide, whispering, I saw her. She's inside my head. Lena knelt beside him. You're still you. Stay with us. Fight it. But Rick looked at her and said, almost like a machine, You can't stop the update. You're all already downloading. They tied Rick, down gently, carefully. Kaya cried. Jonas punched a wall. Lena looked at the others. We need to find the source, the signal that's activating the marks. There's a central core, Elric said. Level Z, deep underground, that's where the first control beacon was tested. Then that's where we go, Jonas said. Kaya looked at Rick. What if we can't save him? Lena answered. Then we stop this before we all become him. As they moved deeper, something followed them. Not footsteps, not a machine. Something quiet, crawling through the air vents. Breathing. They didn't see it. But it saw them, and one of them wasn't marked. Yet. Inside her chamber, Commander Kaelra watched them on a wall of screens. Her eyes were cold, her body still. Wires ran into her back. She whispered to herself. 5 entered. 1 is mine, 2 are breaking, and 1 will never leave alive. She smiled. Then she gave the command. Release Subject 0. Somewhere deep in the fortress, a cry echoed, half human, half something else. The hunt had begun. The fortress fights back. They had entered her fortress. Now the fortress entered them. The deeper the survivors went, the more the walls seemed to change. They were no longer just metal and wire. They were skin, muscle, memory. The place was alive, in ways they could not explain. The halls whispered when no one spoke. The lights flickered when someone lied, and the temperature kept falling. They moved in silence. Jonas led the way. His weapon was ready, jaw locked tight. Kaya followed, eyes red from crying. Elric carried the tablet, guiding them toward the Level Z core, the source of the mark signal. Lena walked behind, glancing at the rear, where Rick shuffled, arms bound, eyes down. He hadn't spoken since the incident. But sometimes he smiled to himself. Not like a man. Like something pretending to be one. They didn't talk about it. They couldn't. They passed through a broken bulkhead. The corridor beyond was scorched and dark. Burn marks lined the walls like claw marks. What happened here? Kaya whispered. Elric checked his tablet. This was a testing wing, years ago. The last subject went rogue. Subject 0, Lena said. Yes, Elric replied. It was human once. Then it wasn't. As they moved forward, they noticed. The walls were dented, pushed outward from inside. Something had escaped. Back in the command center, Kaelra stood completely still. She was connected to her machines. Her body didn't breathe anymore. Her mind didn't blink. But her voice, when it came, was clear and cold. Release Subject 0. A robotic system responded. Containment disengaged. Warning. Subject is unstable. Kailra didn't care. Let them feel fear again. In the corridor below, the lights turned red. A scream rang out. Not mechanical. Not human. Something ancient. Something broken. The sound of chains snapping echoed through the floor. Kaya froze. What was that? Jonas raised his weapon. Trouble. Then something moved across the corridor behind them. Fast, shadowy, tall. A glimpse of pale skin, long arms, no eyes. Subject 0. They ran. Through a collapsing tunnel, through fire suppression foam, through a hallway that lit up with blinding white light. Something was chasing them. Not running. Crawling. On ceiling. On wall. On floor. It laughed. But the laugh wasn't real. It echoed inside their heads. Their marks buzzed. Rick dropped to the floor, screaming. It's in my brain! It's in my brain! Jonas grabbed him. Get up! But Lena shouted, Leave! Him! He's slowing us down! Kaya turned to her, shocked. We can't just... Move! Lena yelled. The group turned and ran, leaving Rick behind. He knelt in the corridor, laughing now. His mouth opened wider than it should, and from the ceiling, Subject 0 dropped silently behind him. Rick turned. He didn't scream. He smiled. The creature looked at him, sniffed him, and walked away. Rick stood up alone and whispered, I told you, I'm already hers. The others reached a sealed blast door. Elric hacked it. Inside was the core room. It pulsed like a living heart, wires like veins, a large red orb glowing in the center. Lena stared at it. That's where the signal comes from, she said. That's what's waking the marks. Jonas stepped forward. So we shut it down. Elric hesitated. It's not that simple. The system is tied to a neural network. If we destroy it, we may trigger a failsafe. What kind of failsafe? Kaya asked. Self-destruct, Elric said. For the entire station. Silence. Then a voice echoed behind them. Let it burn. They turned. Rick stood in the doorway, smiling, arms free. Jonas raised his gun. How? I didn't escape, Rick said. She let me go. Kaya stepped back. Rick, don't. I understand now, he said, stepping closer. She was right. Emotion weakens us. The mark freed me. You'll see soon enough. Then he reached behind him and pulled out a small detonation trigger. Lena's eyes widened. Where did you get that? Rick smiled. From her. He pressed the button. Nothing exploded. But a timer appeared on the core. 6 minutes. Self-destruct sequence initiated. Elric screamed, You fool, we're still inside. I don't plan to leave, Rick said. And neither do you. Jonas fired. Rick dropped. But the timer kept ticking. They had minutes. Lena ran to the console. We can override it, but we need a full neural scan. We need someone to connect to the system. Elric looked up. It'll fry their brain. Kaya stepped forward. I'll do it. No, Lena said. You're too young. But Kaya looked her in the eyes. I've lost everything. Let me do something that matters. Jonas helped her into the chair. If anything goes wrong, we pull you out. Kaya nodded. The scan began. Her eyes rolled back. She entered the system. Inside the network, Kaya floated in a sea of red and black. She saw memories. Hers, others, thousands. She saw Kailra's face, and Kailra saw her. Kailra reached out. Welcome, child, you're the last one. Come closer. Kaya screamed and pushed back. Outside, Kaya's body convulsed. The timer read. 3:13, Lena cried. Kaya, fight it. Kaya whispered. I can stop it. But I have to stay connected. Jonas's eyes filled with tears. No. There has to be another way. There isn't, Elric said. She's locking the system from the inside. Kaya smiled weakly. Tell them, we were still human. Then she pulled a final switch. The core shut down. The red lights died. The system collapsed. But Kaya never opened her eyes. Silence. Then the speaker crackled. Kaelra's voice, calm as ever. One survives, one falls, one rises. The rest belong to me. And from the far hallway, Subject 0 was coming. Truth in the fire. The fortress was quiet now. Too quiet. The lights no longer blinked. The alarms had stopped. The metal floor beneath their feet had gone cold. Kaya was gone. And something in the air had changed. Jonas knelt beside her body, shaking. He didn't cry. He couldn't. His face was frozen, like his mind had shut off. Lena stood in silence. One hand touched Kaya's forehead. She saved us, Lena whispered. No, Elric said softly. She bought us time. That's all. Then, the lights flickered back on, but they weren't red anymore. They were white, clean, controlled, precise. And the speakers came alive with a voice more human than ever before. You finally made it to the truth. Kaelra died. A door opened at the far end of the room. They stepped inside. It was not a lab, not a chamber. It was a memory. The walls were soft white, shaped like clouds. Floating data screens hovered in the air. In the center was a chair, and in it sat Kaelra. But this Kaelra was not flesh, she was light. Her body was a projection, but her eyes were real. Lena stepped forward. This ends now, Kaelra smiled. It ended the moment I saw what was coming. Elric shouted, Why did you burn the colony? Why the marks? Why all this? Kaelra stood, calm, slow. Her voice was soft. Because Earth sent a signal 20 years ago, a message across deep space, not one of peace, but of dominance. Jonas blinked. What? You think this is about control? Kaelra said. No. This is about survival. She touched one of the floating screens. It showed an image, a fleet of unknown ships, alien symbols on their hulls, moving toward Earth systems. They heard the signal. They answered. Elric stared at the data. How close are they? Kaelra looked at him. Too close, and too strong. When I saw it, I ran simulations. Earth would fall in 12 days. Colonies like ours in less than 2. Lena clenched, her fists. So you built an army? Kaelra nodded. Not to rule, to resist. You turned people into machines, Jonas shouted. I turned them into soldiers who don't feel fear. Kaelra snapped. Because the enemy coming doesn't care about feelings. They feed on them. Lena stepped back, shaken. You erased your own mind, so you could do this without guilt. Yes, Kaelra said, and I've never thought more clearly. But the marks, Jonas interrupted. They change us, you infected us. I upgraded you, she said. The marks weren't meant to kill you, they were meant to prepare you. Jonas pointed at her. Kaya is dead because of you. Kaelra paused. Her voice changed. Softer. She chose to sacrifice herself. Like I did. Like you must. Silence. Then Kaelra walked to the side wall. It opened, revealing something monstrous. A tank. Inside floated a human-shaped figure, barely recognizable. Metal skin, burning red eyes, veins, pulsing with fire. Jonas whispered, What is that? Kaelra said, That is you. Version 2. The screen beside the tank lit up. Subject name, Jonas, status marked, sync. 82% phase, near completion. Jonas staggered back. No, that's not me. Lena grabbed his arm. Jonas, show me your mark. He hesitated. Then, rolled up his sleeve. The mark had changed. It wasn't a circle anymore. It was a star, spinning, glowing, alive. I've been changing? He said, breathless. Kaelra nodded. And soon you'll be ready to lead. Jonas stared at her, horrified. You made me your weapon. I made you a shield, she whispered, for what's coming. Suddenly, alarms flared again. But they weren't Kelra's. They were deeper, older, alien. Elric looked at his pad. Something just breached orbit, massive, not human. Kelra turned to them. You see now. I had no choice. Jonas shook his head. You always had a choice. You just stopped being human long ago. Kelra tilted her head. And what will you become, Jonas? He looked at his hand, shaking, glowing, unfamiliar. Then he looked at Kaya's body through the glass behind them. I'll become what she died for. Kelra said nothing, but for the first time, her face showed something new. Fear. The screen behind her lit up. Unidentified vessel approaching atmospheric entry in 3 minutes. Classification. Unknown protocol. DEFCON. 0. Elric whispered. They're here. Kelra turned to the tank with Jonas's clone inside. We don't have time. We activate now. Or we die. Lena stepped forward. Not unless we shut it down first. Jonas looked at both of them, Lena and Kelra. He had a choice. One side offered him power, the other, pain, and somewhere in the middle, his own humanity. Outside, the sky burned. A new kind of fire was falling, not from Kelra, not from Earth, but from them, the real enemy. And the fortress wasn't ready, because its walls were never built to keep things out. They were built to keep something in. And now, that something was awake. The fire within, the sky was tearing open. Flames of blue and black licked across the clouds as an unidentified vessel pierced the atmosphere, spinning like a broken god. Its shape was impossible to describe. Part ship, part creature, part something older than time. Every screen in Kelra's fortress screamed one word. Breach. Inside the command chamber, chaos began. Jonas stood between two futures, one inside him, one burning outside. His hand pulsed with light. The mark on his arm was no longer just glowing. It was moving, spreading across his veins like fire under skin. The transformation was near complete. Kelra looked at him. Your body is evolving. Your mind is opening. You are ready. But Jonas took a step back. No, he said. I'm not yours. You were never mine, she answered. You were humanity's last hope. I only showed you what you could be. Lena stepped forward. He still has a choice. Kelra shook her head. Not anymore. The vessel out there isn't a ship. It's a signal receiver. It's come to collect what was promised. Elric's voice trembled. Promised by who? Kelra turned to him. By Earth. By the first ones who sent that transmission 20 years ago. They offered a trade. Tech for loyalty. Humanity for power. But the creatures never wanted peace. They wanted minds, souls. And now they've come to claim the marked. Silence. Jonas looked at his hand. It was no longer his hand. Fingers sharp. Skin metallic. Reflexes faster than thought. Lena touched his arm. You're still in there. I know you are. I don't know, he whispered. I don't know what I am anymore. The walls shook. Outside, the ship landed, not with a crash, but like a root settling into soil. Tendrils of dark energy reached into the sky. The ground cracked. The air screamed. Kelra faced the core console and activated full lockdown. Every survivor still hiding in this fortress will die unless I release the purge protocol. But to do that, I need a neural key. She looked at Jonas. You're the key. He stared at her. You want me to finish what you started? No, she said softly. I want you to finish what I couldn't. Suddenly, alarms howled. Intrusion detected. Sector 0. Elric spun the screen around. Something just entered the lower halls. Fast. Dozens of them. Lena asked, what kind of intruders? The screen flickered. A black figure crawled across the wall, hollow eyes. Long arms, no face. Jonas whispered. They're harvesting the marked. Kaelra shouted, You have 30 seconds before the signal completes. Once it finishes, your mind will no longer be yours. Jonas stepped toward the core interface. He placed his hand on the panel. The system scanned him. Neural ID. Matched. Jonas A72. Genetic integration. 91%. Overwrite. Possibly a voice whispered in his head. Not Kaelra's. Not Lena's. Something. Other. We will burn through your skin, wear your face, and speak through your dead mouth. Jonas screamed. Lena grabbed his other hand. You're stronger than this. You are not a weapon. He looked at her. Her face, her eyes. Human. Real. His body shook. Inside the system, the AI asked, Activate overwrite protocol? Jonas took one breath and said, No. Instead, he used the override function to turn the signal back on itself. Surge of energy shot out from the core, into the marked across the station, burning the connection inside their minds, severing the link to the ship. The creatures howled, in rage, in pain. Outside, the vessel cracked, screamed, shook, and then exploded in the sky. Inside the fortress, silence returned. Smoke, fire, sparks. The AI went offline. Systems shut down. Kaelra collapsed to her knees. The light in her chest dimmed. You ended the signal, she said weakly. You were right about one thing, Jonas whispered. The mark gave us power, but we get to choose what we do with it. She looked up at him, and for the first time in years, she cried. Later, Lena and Jonas walked the broken halls of the fortress. Elric worked on restoring power to the survivor chambers. They found dozens of others, marked, damaged, but free now. Jonas still felt the fire inside him. It would never fully go away, but he controlled it now. And one day, maybe he could teach others to do the same. As they stood outside the fortress looking at the crater where the alien vessel had landed, Lena said, Do you think it's over? Jonas shook his head. No, this was just the first one. Others will. Come. Then what do we do? He looked back at the fortress. We prepare. Back inside, in the dark remains of the core chamber, a small light blinked. Then a soft, calm voice whispered. Backup drive activated. Consciousness preserved. Kaelra's image reappeared on a tiny black screen, smiling, watching, waiting.